It's a time for pick it from China. Hey, welcome back to the channel. It's awesome that you're tuning in. So in this video we are going to take a close look at the Powkiddy, the X39. It's a new model, but I must say that I am quite excited to review this product here on the channel. And the reason is there's something completely different. And Powkiddy, they're having like a mix of different kind of handhelds. Sometimes they're like shitty products, but this product, I was quite excited about it. And the reason is, to begin with, this thing feels quite heavy. It feels quite very durable, and when it comes to the overall performance, I was quite surprised by it. But let's take a close look what we're going to get. We're going to get our short, pointless Type-C cable for charging and data transfer. And of course the deluxe toilet paper manual, like always, in different languages. Most of the time it's going to be in English. Here we're going to get a quick overview, like what you can do with it. And also what I think is really damn awesome. And that's what they're advertising with this device. This is going to be like a hybrid system, so you can use it like in handheld, but also like in game box. Okay, but let's do a quick overview of the handheld itself. So Powkiddy is a company that makes so many different handhelds, or they are just partly like designing it, and the other part is basically like relabeling, because sometimes it doesn't make any sense. But the first thing, the controls. The controls, they are not bad at all. But let's take a close look at the left side of the handheld. We're going to get the option for an analog stick and a D-pad. So the analog stick, it's similar to the Nintendo Switch, not 100% the same. We don't have the click underneath. Then we're going to get here the D-pad. The D-pad feels very nice. It doesn't have like a very long travel, but I've noticed when you're playing some fighting games, I couldn't really get all of my moves out. So it's not the best D-pad I have ever seen on a handheld. So something to take into consideration. Okay, so when it comes to the buttons and the options we're going to get over here. So we're going to get the select, start and the menu. The menu button is basically the menu button that we're going to get into the shortcut menu. If you're playing a game, then we're going to make a quick load and quick save. I will show you later. The buttons are similar to the Nintendo Switch. I mean, like the size, I'm not a big fan of it. And they feel kind of smushy and have a very long travel. So not the best buttons I've felt. But don't need to forget, we're also going to get one speaker inside of this machine. It's a front faces, so it's going to be like actually good experience with the audio, but I must say like it's not the best. I personally always want to have like a left-right stereo effect, and so let's say it gives you like a better audio experience. But let's take a close look at the top side, because there we're going to get a lot of features. To begin with, we're going to get 4 shoulder buttons, and they are like your micro switch click each buttons, and I must say it's not bad at all. Then we're going to get volume control, we're going to get a headphone jack out, an HDMI out, then we're going to get input for the Type-C, and of course we're going to get the on and off switch over here. Another feature of this hybrid system, we're going to get 2 normal USB connections so you can plug in your controllers, and of course then we're going to get the TF slot that contains the SD card. So in this case we're going to get 32 GB. Okay, so let's talk about the display. The display we're going to get are like more of the premium handhelds, and I love it. It's an IPS display that they will have the resolution. It's kind of weird resolution. It's 480 by 272. It's a total on 4.3 inch LCD display. But an overall like a very good view angle, and it looks amazing. So when you're booting it up, here we're going to get the option for basically having like this quick menu. Similar to when I say the Pandora's boxes. The Pandora boxes looks more fancy in my opinion. But here we're going to get the list of games. We're going to choose the type. You can see like we having quite a lot of different systems that can be played up to PlayStation 1. So nowadays we do have a lot of handhelds that can even play Sega, Dreamcast, Saturn. It doesn't work for this one. Then we're going to get here the recent list, stuff like that, favorite list. And of course if you want to search a game, you can do that over here with the keyboard. And then we're going to get the file system. Basically you can browse through the files. So if you want to load up a video or something like that, you can do it like here. But of course this system has been dedicated to playing games. Like I told you before, we're having the menu button, and it only applies when you're playing a game. Here we do have the option to go in the special menu to having like a quick load and quick save, and in the settings we have like the sound output, keyboard, mapping, and even like we do have the screen size that we can change out. There's only one downside to this. So if you're going to put it full screen, okay, everything will be like stretched to craziness. But when you're looking at the scale, there we're going to have some minor issues. For example, with PlayStation 1, I've noticed like my display, or better said the screen itself, so that can be completely messed up. I will give you an example what I mean. What you can see over here, this is what happens when you're using the scale option. It's kind of weird if you ask me. Sometimes when you're going to mess around with it, for example, going back to full screen, you go back to the game itself. See, everything seems to be looking very well. But somehow some PlayStation games I've noticed they have just an issue with this screen scale option. A little bit of a bummer because some games don't have this issue, but sadly this one does. Alright, so when it comes to emulation of the basic stuff, think about MAME, the arcade, Neo Geo, 8-bit, 16-bit. These devices are very capable of doing this. Personally, I don't have really a big problem against the wide screens, but if you don't like it at all, already mentioned, like you can go back to the menu, go to settings, screen size, but here you can see like it already is set to scale, so I don't know what's going on here. It's kind of weird. Let's go back. Let's try it again. Screen size, scale. Let's see what happens now. See, sometimes it doesn't even work for some of the freaking emulators. So it's a little bit of a bummer in my opinion. Despite like the emulation is pretty damn good on these devices. But they completely messed it up with the scaling option. Super Magazine. I've got the power. Get the power of a predator. Okay, so next up let's try some Neo Geo with the FBA settings. And here you can see that it works very well. This category doesn't have any, let's say, negative effect with the scaling, no weird stuff going on. I personally am a big fan of the D-pad, especially of the position, because it's freaking awful. Okay, so when it comes to some games like Spankman, it's kind of weird that we have a 4:3 aspect ratio scale, but somehow it still looks kind of messed up because I don't have a lot of space over here at the bottom. Maybe it's the game itself. It seems to me they managed to get this right this time when it comes to the 8-bit. I just wanted to check out some classic Game Boy, and here you can see like the aspect ratio is pretty damn nice. There are no weird filters going on here, so sadly don't have any option with that. But also Game Boy Advance plays very nice in this. Okay, well, Super NES did hear some hiccups in the audio. I think it's more like an emulator issue. You can hear it here and there, like this crackling noise. It's a little bit of a bummer that they basically messed this part up. You can still hear it. Doesn't affect really the gameplay itself, but funny thing is, like, I normally never play with an analog stick, but because this thing is so bad, let's put it this way, the D-pad, I really hate when they position him here because I don't find it very comfortable to play for a very long time. Oh crap. Double KO. But I didn't hear the issue with Sega Genesis. Okay, so next up we're trying a PlayStation 1 game, and here you can see that 4:3 aspect ratio seems to be working just fine. So it's kinda weird that we do have some issue with some games. So in that case it's going to be in hit or miss. And And again, I personally prefer to play with the analog stick. The D-pad is not super comfortable to play, even for shmups and fighting games. So here you can see like these games run just fine. Okay, I wanted to try another game, and here you can see like the aspect ratio on the different game, like Ridge Racer Type 4 is completely messed up. So you can see like it's cool that they added this feature, but it doesn't work that great. Like some games look amazing and some look like really shit. So yeah, a little bit of a bummer. So let's try some time attack and let's see how more like 3D games are running and more demanding games on this device. Okay, so we have reached the point that, let's say, the more expensive handhelds will run PlayStation 1 just fine. They're running them mostly on the native resolution, they don't use any upscaling, but the chips itself are absolutely not like powerful enough. Another thing I find really annoying is that the glare on the freaking display that in front of it is very annoying. So if you're like in a place that has a lot of the sun, you're not going to play this game with a lot of fun. Alright, let's see. See, another thing I don't like is that the mushy buttons. Like, these things are feeling mushy and they have a way too long travel. Okay, so when it comes to these cheap China handhelds, not all of them will have a TV out. And if you like having TV out, it will be AV out. And the HDMI is kind of an, let's say, a piece of technology you don't find a lot of these cheap devices. So let's plug it in and take consideration this is an HDMI mini. And you don't need to do any stuff with the settings. Automatically that transfers the image and the audio to the television. You can still use the display of the handheld itself. So it's pretty damn awesome. But let's try to hook up a controller and see how that works. Okay, so I'm always using an Xbox 360 controller because this is one of the most, let's say, common controllers that will work with these Chinese handhelds. So let's plug it in. Let's see if we can plug it in and see if it's going to be working. Here you can see like it doesn't do anything. It will try to boot up. So next up what we're going to do is reboot the full system just to see what happens then. Okay, so let's boot it up. Let's see what's going to be happening. I think that is one of the common problems with these Chinese devices. They will give you options, but sometimes you're restricted to a couple of controls. They basically only can offer and have compatibility with these handhelds. Okay, you can see like it doesn't do anything. And again, like an Xbox 360 controller has like a very big support with game boxes, stuff from China, but somehow it doesn't work at all with mine. And for me, if I cannot use my typical controllers, it's pretty damn pointless. Because let's be honest, like you can find a lot of these like cheap China places to knock off chemical controls, but those are like freaking awful in the long term if you want to play some games. Alright, so let's take a close look in the inside. I just want to remove the backplate to see what kind of battery we're going to get in the inside, because there was no information so far I can see, or I just read over it. But I love to do a teardown just to see how this thing looks in the inside. And yeah, again, like this thing weighs quite heavy, and most of the time it's because it's a big battery that is inside. Because the battery, in my opinion, gives most of the weight of a handheld nowadays. All the rest is more like plastic fantastic. Alright, let's remove the freaking screws. And I think I need to get myself a pry tool, because you can open them up. You can see like you need to pry them open sometimes. Let's see. I'm going to use my fingernail for this. Let me guess, yeah, these buttons are already loose. Alright, I think from this part I need a tool to open it up. Otherwise I'm going to rip it apart. Oh man, these tools are priceless. Okay, so let's open it up. Here we're going to get the backplate. There was nothing else here to see, just a piece of plastic. And there we're going to get ourselves the gigantic battery that is a 2500 milliamp. And yeah, this thing will give you quite a couple of hours of playtime. You can see like they solder it straight into the main board. So if you want to replace it, you need to do some soldering. But there is nothing much to see. They added the speaker over here. And yeah, again, it's a completely unique made product when it comes to the PCB. But that's it. That's basically what you're going to get in the inside. And further teardown is, my opinion, quite pointless. Okay, so what do I think of the X39? So it's still flawed in many ways. To begin with, when it comes to the controls, I don't get it why they put the analog stick over here, but it's more like a personal preference. Next up, like the tiny buttons, not a big fan of those. And this glossy glare on the freaking screen is quite annoying. It's a little bit of a bummer. I couldn't get any controller to find in my collection that works on this thing. So yeah, that's one of those options that they give you, but it's very hard to find the solution how to get it to work. But overall, like, volume controls on here, like the display looks amazing. Yeah, a little bit bummer about the scaling. Like those are like the tiny things that bother me a lot. Like you have scaling, but it doesn't work for every system. Let me know in the comments, did you ever consider buying this or did you have it? And it would be great to hear your opinion about it. But thank you for watching. Consider subscribing, hit that little bell, become one of the biggest family, and I will see you in the next video.